Hi, I'm Vane Colby, and welcome to this week's edition of Grant's 10-Minute Meals. Joining me right now is one of my dear friends, Margaret Caldwell, and she's a fabulous cook. Margaret is going to be making today soyu soup. So you're going to be making soyu soup?
We're going to
be making soyu soup and fried rice. Now, Margaret has a story behind this dish, and we're going to get to that in a moment. But let's get cooking. Let's start with this soup first.
Okay, so with this soup, you can increase this or reduce it depending on the size of the guests that you have. But this is about 8 cups of water and a minimum of 1/4 cup of soy sauce. But this is really to taste, so you can do darker. So it's going to look like tea when you get ready. And then you're going to add just a little bit of sliced onion into this. Let's get that in there. And then we're going to let this come up to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, we'll be adding our egg in. And so Vane's going to keep an eye on that while we're...
So that's 1 egg, and we're going to scramble that, and I'm going to put that in once it comes to a boil.
That's correct.
Okay, so while that's cooking, let's start with our fried rice. Now, you know I make a mean fried rice. I'm known for my fried rice.
I did not
know
that.
I cannot wait to see what your fried rice entails. And I might do a little cheating and steal some of her recipe. Let's get cooking.
All right. So with this recipe, the nice thing about this is you can prepare everything in advance. So I've already cubed my meat. This is just some cube steak, right? So we're just going to add that. And I don't put any oil in the pan. You can, but it's not necessary. And then I'm going to add my diced onions, and we're going to add our diced. And this is just a fine dice. You want it to be small. You don't want giant chunks of anything really in your rice. And we're going to let this start cooking. So we're going to brown this meat up good.
Okay. Now while this is browning, and while you're doing that, tell me a little bit about this, how this family recipe came to be.
Well, when I was a little girl, from the time I was 2 until 6, we were stationed in Japan on Misawa. My dad was in the Navy, and we had a maid that came in and helped with our house, and she taught my mother how to make fried rice. She taught her how to make soyu soup. And there's one other dish that we often put with this, and it's beef and peppers. It's a really good little side dish.
Now, my maid never made anything like this for me because I ain't got no maid.
I don't either. That's why I had children.
Now, you were telling me earlier about, when you make this recipe, your kids come and calling.
Yes. When my dad comes to visit, he knows I'm going to make some fried rice for him, and this is a family favorite. All I have to do is tell my kids I've made fried rice, and I know somebody's going to make a pit stop, at least to take some home, right? So I get a little sugar stuff.
And tell me about, how you've already prepped your eggs, and tell me about your rice while this is cooking.
Okay, so the rice, if you're cooking it, a couple of tips about doing your rice. First thing is you always want to rinse your rice. There is a starch that's on the rice, and if you rinse it until it's clear, then that gets you don't get that sticky, gummy rice at the end. I used to make mine just in a pot on the stove, and the trick there, or the tip that Susie taught my mother, was never take the lid off. The temptation is to peek, is my rice done? But don't. You want to just follow the directions on the bag if you're doing it on the stove, right? But don't take your lid off. If you're doing it like I did this in a pressure cooker, right? On that, it's almost foolproof, right? It's a 1-to-1 with your rice and your water. And then I like to chill it just like you were saying.
Yes, I find that when I'm making mine, that it does, of course, it doesn't stick, and it tastes so much better. Now, I've made it when it was warm, and it was a hot mess.
Yes.
Literally.
And there's been times, I cannot lie, but it all tastes good, but you don't want that sticky rice. Sometimes it's too wet, or sometimes it's, so making it for me, my brother, thank you, Michael, gave me that pressure cooker a few years ago, and I've had perfect rice ever since. So it's
I love my pressure cooker.
Oh yeah, and it's just set it and forget it, right?
Right.
3 minutes and walk away.
And you know what's really good in a pressure cooker too? Is ribs. I make a mean rib. I think we did it on our 10-minute meals once. And they're so tender. They're better than the ribs that I got at the restaurant. Put your ribs in there for about 1 hour, then take them out and put them in the oven for about 15 minutes, just to let that barbecue solidify.
There's something about a pressure cooker.
Right, I digress.
Okay, we're good.
All right.
We're still good back there.
And I'm going to go ahead and stir this.
Okay, and I've just added just a little bit of salt to this, and soy sauce is going to be our primary seasoning for this, and that is what really is kind of Japanese salt, is what they use for salt, right? But then I also use a little bit of salt to just bring the flavor up. Back in the day, they used to use the MSG, right, the accent to enhance the flavor, but my mother stopped using that when we were little.
This smells so good. Nothing smells like onions and peppers cooking.
And it's so pretty in the pan.
Yes, I totally agree. And you know what really surprised me most about this recipe is that you use no oil, no Pam, no nothing.
But if you use a good pan, you can see there's some moisture down in there.
Right.
And nothing's sticking in my pan, right? So to add oil to it, to me, is just adding an ingredient I don't need.
Right.
But now if you have a problem with your pan and it's sticking, I'd be spraying maybe some Pam or something before I got started. Okay, so this meat is almost done. You're not cooking it till it's like brown, you know, like you do a steak and get it, like charred on the outside. We just need to make sure it's cooked through.
Because once you add your rice and your eggs, it's still going to be cooking some more.
Exactly. And really, this is all that was not cooked of everything else we've done. Our eggs we've done in advance. We've kind of cooked those up. This is already cooked. So really, those are just going to be heating up.
Now tell me how you serve this. You were saying there's several ways, you know, that you can serve this dish.
This is true. In our family, we kind of, almost like a division, if you will. I eat it with, I like my rice separate from my soup. So I have soup in the soup bowl. I have my rice on a plate. But several of my kids and other family members, they like their soup and rice together. So they'll do a bowl of the soup and then they'll just pile their rice in it. But I think you lose a little.
Yeah. Well, I'm really looking forward to the soup because I am a soup fanatic. I can have soup every day.
Ooh, the pressure's on.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
That looks
so this is
good.
looking good. So I'm going to go ahead and add my eggs and just start chopping this stuff up because you just want everything to get, you don't want giant chunks of anything, right?
Right.
Our rice is little and we don't need anything else to be like way bigger. So just kind of mix that in. And then we're going to add our rice.
And like you were saying earlier too, you can prep all of this in the morning before you even leave for work if you want.
Exactly.
Come home and have this done in 10 minutes.
Exactly. And then you're just going to start working this rice and stuff together. And if you would, I just need that pico man. That's soy sauce. And this
Pico
is
man.
what, And don't be afraid to season this. So and unfortunately, this recipe is really all about preference. So where somebody might do something lighter, but you're just going to keep working it until you get all your ingredients. And this rice is where it's cold, is where I've got these little clumps. It's not that my rice is sticky and yucky.
Mm-hmm.
This was a good batch of rice this morning. I promise.
I'm over here like,
You making fun of me?
No, but I do that. It looks so good.
It's gonna be so good.
When I do my rice, I use the very, very teriyaki. I swear by the very, very teriyaki.
Well, and that's funny that you would say that because my mother, I thought of her as a bit of a soy sauce snob.
Yeah.
She told me never use anything but Kiko Man. That was what I think she was introduced to maybe when we were overseas, and that's the brand that she always used.
Yeah. But you know, I've never used the Kiko Man, but since your mom prefers it, I'm going to definitely have to try the Kiko Man. Now this has come to a boil.
Yes, it did.
Now, you want me to cut it off?
Yes. And normally you would not have it quite to that degree of a heavy-duty boil like that. You're just going to whisk this egg up and then just drop it in there and just kind of give it a little swirl with your fork. And you're done.
Okay, here we go.
Yep. And I'm just gonna remove it from the heat because that is really boiling there.
How's that?
That is great. Now you can just put a lid on that if it's gonna be a little bit before you serve it, but I usually just pour my egg. You really don't even have to stir. You're done. Just that one little shoot and you're finished.
All right.
Okay. And then that is ready for whenever you're ready to serve your rice, which actually is almost ready.
It smells delicious. I know the people downstairs are like, I wish they would hurry up.
Well, we are almost done.
And I'm not rushing you. I'm just saying that we always feed.
I don't know.
We always feed the people downstairs.
We might have to sneak out the back with this because this is usually like breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me until it's gone. And I do a little bit of salt.
And if you want to use a different type of salt, you can.
I've not tried a different one, but you know, salt to me is salt. It gives it that extra little taste. Okay. All right. So I'm just gonna. This is a clean spoon. I'm just gonna take a quick taste just to see if I got my seasonings right. That's pretty close. Do just a little bit more salt and we're done. Why don't you grab a fork?
Alrighty. How about a spoon?
Even a spoon. Okay.
Alrighty.
There you go.
Let me try. Mmm. That's delicious.
Did I do okay?
You did great. Margaret, I'd like to thank you for joining me. The folks downstairs are really going to love this, as do I. And if you guys want to know what's going on in the kitchen, join us every first and third Wednesday of the month. But if you really want to know what's cooking, join us at one of our 16 locations near you. Grant Supermarket, the best friend your budget ever had.